And we are live. Welcome, everyone, to another live Procast on Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. We do these every single Wednesday night. Uh, Tonight, we have a special guest, one of our directors of catching for baseball, is our National Director of Catching, Ryan Lavarnway. Thank you for joining us tonight, Ryan.
Thanks for having me.
My name is Lance. I'm the founder of Aries Scouts. We also have Brian Murray, our director of baseball operations and our future director of risk management on the Aries Scouts platform. Aries Scouts is a one-of-a-kind data-driven athlete health initiative with a focus on athlete development. We currently have over 550 evaluators in several different countries, and we provide an athlete development program for ages 7 and up. We're going to do a quick walkthrough of that platform right after Ryan and Brian go through a quick interview here. And we're also going to open up a Q&A to everyone to ask any questions that you have for Ryan Lavarnway after they finish up. So you guys have the stage. You're on mute, Brian.
That would help. So welcome, Ryan. I'm glad we finally got to do this interview. We've done a bunch of these, and I've always wanted to have you on here. And happy holidays, first of all.
Thank
and,
you.
I hope all's well with you and the family. And we're gonna jump right into some questions here.
Let's do it.
All right. So you get this great Facebook page, man. I love it. I love what you do there. It's called Catcher Workouts Quarantine Challenge. And so just tell everyone, what compelled you to start that group?
Well, I guess the basis of it was I had created online video instruction a couple years before that, and the people that had purchased that content loved it, and they were seeing like great results. So I wanted to bring it to a bigger audience and offer it for free to people. So we created this Facebook group. We were also stuck in the house during COVID, right? We couldn't go anywhere. I know I was a little bit scared to go out in the world. I think everyone was feeling a little bit scared. And for me, baseball helps me feel a sense of normalcy. That's what I've always done. That's what I love to do. So doing something that I love and being able to share it with people and give people this instruction and an idea of what can you do at home on your own when you don't have a coach, you don't have a team, you don't have a field. The idea was you could do these drills in your basement, in the living room, in the backyard, if you're lucky enough to have a backyard. And on top of giving me a sense of normalcy and helping me do something that I love to do, it also helped me stay in shape for when I had to go back to spring training, when spring training started in July. So it was something I really enjoyed doing, and it got great feedback. And we ended up having over 5,000 catchers from all 7 continents joining us, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a few of your videos on there. I saw everything that was being done and saw all the questions coming from the public and how responsive you were. And I thought it was awesome for you to offer that to kids and really help their development. I think in a time where, you know, these young players were besides themselves because they couldn't do anything, you know. So they get to talk to a major league ball player and you know and learn catching from them. I just think it's a great thing. So if people haven't gone on there, please go on. It's Catcher Workouts. It's in the Facebook groups, Quarantine Challenge it's called. So please go and check it out. And it is really some great content. So, all right. So a lot of the athletes we work with are going to be youth baseball athletes or softball or, you know, volleyball, but we have multiple sports. But for the youth baseball athletes out there, what was your youth experience in baseball and what type of coaching did you get in an early age?
So I grew up in Southern California, which is a hotbed of baseball talent. You know, we get to play outside all year round. So a lot of major leaguers come out of, you know, California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, all the warm weather states. When I was getting ready to go to high school, my family moved to a new school district so I could go to the high school that had the best team. Youth-wise, I played on the local rec league team until high school. I didn't go out of my way. I think we started a club team when I was 12. But we played in the local rec league during that season, and then we would kind of continue with our club team once the rec league season was over. I know that times have kind of changed and people are pushed towards select teams or club teams. but the rec league was great in my area, and I loved it. And I met a lot of friends there, a lot of local kids, and we had the same group together, the same core of us, maybe 6 to 8 of us, from the time we were 8 all the way through high school. And I think we had 11 players my senior year that were on our high school team that all got to play D1 or better, which was pretty darn cool. We had a great core group. But the thing that I noticed looking back that I didn't notice so much at the time was I got a lot of hitting instruction. I got a lot of, when I used to pitch as a kid, I got a lot of pitching instruction. There wasn't a lot of instruction on the catching side. And I didn't really get that until I got to professional baseball. So that's why I'm so passionate about teaching youth baseball and high school baseball players catching, because I can look back at the video that the Red Sox had of me in their internal database before the draft of me catching in college, and it's painful to watch. It's now looking back, it's very obvious that I was drafted because I could hit, but I was not a catcher. And I've had to make myself a catcher as an adult, as a professional. And I think that's what helps me teach it, is that I've learned it recently, and I had to learn it as an adult. So I know the things that don't work. I know the habits that I had to unlearn. I know the flexibility that I had to gain. And I know the things that don't work, and I know how I went through the process of breaking those bad habits and getting to better habits.
Wow. That's incredible. I actually didn't know that you never really got any catching instruction. I think we're going to touch on that in a little bit, but that's that's amazing how you made it that far. And and it was you were an outstanding hitter. That's the reason. I mean, you were incredible, especially your years at Yale. I think you won NCAA batting title, right?
I did.
That's awesome. That's great.
Slugging title too. Don't forget that one.
No, I won't. So what was your baseball recruiting process like to attend Yale?
That's a great question. I get this a lot from one-on-one lesson families that I work with here in Colorado. I did not make my high school varsity team until my junior year of high school. And even at that, I had to play left field because we had another catcher that was in my grade that frankly hit puberty 5 years before me and was just better at the time. I can look back, and they've retired my number at the high school now. And when I went back for that ceremony, my coach was like, I still think Sammy Donavidian should have caught above you in high school. And I said, at that time, I agree. You're absolutely right. So I played left field to get in the lineup. And I got recruited to college mostly from the Stanford baseball camp, the summer Stanford showcase camp. I went to that, and I went to one other showcase that was the Diamond Kings showcase. I'm sure they still do it. The Diamond Kings showcase didn't lead to much. The Stanford showcase for me, I got recruited to 5 different schools, all Ivy League, Yale, Harvard, Cornell, Dartmouth, and then one non-Ivy League was local to Stanford, was UC Davis. The Stanford camp, I believe at the time, required a minimum GPA to get into. So that's why all the high academic schools were recruiting there. And I always tell people that if I didn't have the grades that I did in high school and the test scores I did in high school, the academics, I wouldn't be a Major League Baseball player now. I wouldn't be an Olympian. Most of what I accomplished in my baseball career was because I had the grades and the test scores to get into a good a good academic school to allow me to keep playing, to allow me to grow, to get stronger, to get better. And as I grew and got stronger and better and got to keep playing for those 3 extra years of college, that is the time I became good enough to go pro. Because coming out of high school, I was not good enough to get drafted. I wasn't turning heads. I wasn't getting attention. So on top of my physical abilities and the players that I work with in youth and high school baseball, their physical abilities, academics is so important.
Yeah. And I tell all the, because I coach for a travel baseball team. I tell all the kids that are looking to play in college, focus on your academics first and where you want to, what do you want to do with your life, and make sure that school has what you want. Just don't put it all into the baseball bucket. Man. You gotta. And
even if baseball is your dream and your goal, I never try to squash anyone's dreams. I had crazy dreams and I'm still living them. I'm 34. Yeah. I'm still living my dream that I had since I was 5 years old. But school helps me get here. Whether you see the straight line path of how that happened or not, I do. I understand the importance of academics can play in accomplishing any of your dreams.
Yeah. And how was juggling, like Yale's an incredible Ivy League school? How was juggling that academic requirements with playing ball?
I think our coaches did a really good job of understanding that when it was midterms and finals periods, baseball kind of took a backseat, but they kind of gave us a break from the baseball so we could focus on, if you had a paper due, write a paper. If you have tests due, study for the tests. And then when we were in times during the semester with lighter coursework, then we would hit the baseball a little bit harder.
Okay, that's great that they kind of fell in line with that. That's awesome.
I also never missed one class for a baseball game. How about that? I know some of these schools, they travel on Thursdays for Friday, Saturday games. So I made sure that I scheduled my classes around what the baseball schedule was going to be too.
Well, that's good. Worked well. All right. So you kind of talked about how, you were an outfielder in high school. And then you transitioned into a catcher at Yale. Was that out of necessity? What was the reason for you going back to what you did as a youth player?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I played catcher through most of Little League, most of youth ball, rec league, whatever. And even on the JV team in high school, I was a catcher. Mm-hmm. My dad always preached to me to be a baseball player and not always focus on being committed to one position. The thing he said is, even if you're the second best player in the world at your position, if you're on a team with the first best player, you got to be able to play somewhere else if you want to play. And that came to fruition. In order for me to play varsity baseball, I had to play outfield. And then I went to college. I DH'd and played right field my freshman year of college. And then it was actually at a Hanukkah party that my 8-year-old Little League coach was hosting the party. He said, "When are you going to stop messing around with this outfield stuff and go back to catching? Because if you want to go pro, you can't run fast enough to play outfield pro." And I was like, you know what? You're right. And I went back after winter break to Yale. I told my coach, hey, I want to try catching. And I was the best hitter on the team, so he at least had to give me a look. And, the rest is history. Oh,
that's amazing. Switching positions like that can't be easy. But, you did have some experience in it as a youth. So, but like you said, you never really got that instruction until pros. So, good for you to be able to be successful at that position as well in college. All right. So you were drafted by the Red Sox. You spent 6 years in the minor league system, as well as quite a few stints up with the big league club. Any favorite memories from your time there? And I talk Red Sox because, we're from Massachusetts, Lance and I. So
absolutely.
Many other teams on the list, but we're going to focus on the Red Sox right now.
Yeah, why not? I got so many Red Sox memories and stories I could tell. I think, my first call up stands out as a great memory. David Ortiz and Kevin Youkilis were banged up a little bit. They had a day game in Boston. They were traveling the next day, and we had a night game in Pawtucket, which is the AAA team. And after BP, before the game, there's a little break there, especially when you're at home. We were watching the major league game on TV, supporting the boys, and I was going off. I think I hit 9 homers in a 10-game homestand. I was absolutely crushing it. And my teammates were like, dude, what do you got to do to get called up? And I was like, well, who am I going to play over? David Ortiz? No. Jason Varitek? No. Like, I don't play any other positions. So these studs, these legends aren't just going to be like, go ahead, dude. So we're watching the game on TV, and David Ortiz comes out. I think he had a sore Achilles or something. And right as I think to myself, well, man, that would be cool if maybe I got called up because he's banged up. Right as I was thinking that, I got a tap on the shoulder, said, hey, Skip wants to see you. So I went in the AAA manager's office, and he said, hey, you're going to meet the team in Kansas City tomorrow, but we don't want you to tell anyone. Don't tell your family. Don't have anyone come out because David and Youkilis are going to see the doctor tomorrow morning when they get there. And if they're both okay, then you're going to turn around and come right back here. But if either one of them is banged up, you're in the starting lineup tomorrow. So good luck dealing with that one as a 24-year-old young man.
You may not.
Yeah, so don't tell anyone. So, of course, I call everyone I know. I get on a plane the next morning. I have my laptop, which is this big and 20 pounds at the time. And I watch a DVD version of For Love of the Game on the plane.
Oh, my favorite movie. Definitely.
And cry like a baby on the plane. I'm sobbing that my For Love of the Game, my dreams are coming true. And when I land in Kansas City, I get to baggage claim. I call. They're like, "Hey, Uke's going to go on the DL. You're in the starting lineup. You're DHing. Get your butt to the stadium." So the rest is history.
Wow, that is a great memory. Now, I think I read that Jason Varitek was one of your favorite players as a kid, right?
Yeah, how could he not be? That guy's a stud.
I know. I mean, so what was that like meeting him in person and
oh man, my first memory of Jason Varitek. So because I wasn't a great catcher, I was more of a hitter. As I was coming up through the minors, when I was in minor league spring training, I was not the guy that they brought to back up big league games. I was not the guy that they were going to insert in the 8th or 9th innings for cleanup innings as the starters were resting in spring training. So the first time I ever was told, "Hey, you're going to go over to the big league game," because at that time the Red Sox had a different facility. They weren't attached for major and minor league spring training. One of the other catchers that was in minor league camp, but that went over all the time, he's like, "Listen, when you see Varitek, he's not going to talk to you. You're probably going to think that he wants to eat your face off because he's just so intense, but don't take it personal." So I had that in my mind going over there. And the first time I met Jason, he couldn't have been nicer. And my entire relationship with Tech, he's been nothing but very generous, very open, very willing to help, and just an amazing human being. And I have so much respect for him. That when I finally, so flash forward 2011, I had that first call up. I DH'd for 8 games, hit 305. Doesn't matter. Go back to the minor leagues. Everyone's healthy. And when I got called back up a month later, with 2 games left in the season, you might remember this. This was the chicken and beer collapse. With 2 games left in the season, Jason gets hurt and Saltalamacchia gets hurt. So I have my first career start in game 161 when we're tied for playoffs with Tampa. And I'm like, I've never started in the major. I've never caught in the major leagues. I don't know what to do. I don't have a scouting report on this team. And Jason's like, "Here, take my scouting report binder that's this thick," because he's the most prepared human on the planet. He's a genius when it comes to pitch calling. And he's like, "You might not be able to read it because a lot of it is in code that just I understand." And it's like a beautiful mind moment where you see all this, the writing on the walls. It's all over every page in his handwriting. Luckily, I was able to decipher his code. But again, he was just so generous and kind to me that it was like, do meet your heroes because he will live up to the hype with him.
Oh man, I love to see that he's still with the organization. He's coaching now. I mean, that's a great story there in itself. And you see, Vasquez is flourishing as a catcher there. I mean, doing really well. I think that Jason definitely has a hand in that, right? So that's just fantastic. All right. So fast forward a little bit. You played in the Tokyo Olympics for Team Israel. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And, so tell us about that experience and what it meant to you to be part of that.
That was this summer. It was kind of just a magical experience in the way that it worked out. Because if you're in the major leagues at the time of the Olympics, you're not eligible to go. I got called up to the majors this year with Cleveland about 3 weeks before Tokyo. And every time, I've been called up maybe 23 times with 8 different teams at this point. And every time you get called up, they announce it on the media, and all your friends have a Google alert on you. So you get all these text messages like, "Oh, congratulations. I can't believe it." And I got all those texts. And then I got about 24 texts from the 26-man roster of Team Israel. Like, "I can't believe it." And I was like, "Listen, I'm going up. My man is on the concussion DL. It's 7 days. Don't panic. I'll probably be eligible still." So I got sent back down to the minors. So I was eligible to go. I went to the Olympics. And about 12 days after I got back from the Olympics, I got called back up again. So it was just like this magical timing, like it was meant to be. But getting to go, it was something that I never thought would be possible because baseball hasn't been in the Olympics for the last 3 rounds, the last 13 years. So getting to go an Olympics like no other, no fans. Opening ceremonies, we're waving to an empty stadium so that it looks good on TV.
Yep.
During the games, we're in a beautiful, beautiful stadium in Yokohama that is just newly refurbished. All of the light posts look like giant Olympic torches with empty seats. But even though the seats were empty, the intensity was high. Playing international baseball, the only thing that matters is that game. It's tournament style. It's the only thing I can compare it to is MLB playoffs. It's so intense. The meaning, it was just an amazing experience.
Yeah, that's great. And you got to play with Josh Zide too. It's one of your good friends. So
one of my best friends. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really amazing time for you to have. So as the director of catching for Aries Scouts, what do you hope to accomplish with youth athletes on our platform, and what attracted you to what we do?
Great question. So the biggest thing that attracted me to this platform is that it's a movement and preventative injury first program. And when Lance approached me with this idea, the idea if kids are getting hurt, or if kids are not maximizing their body and they can't play, they can't stay on the field, then they don't get to love the game. They don't get to grow and get better and enjoy this thing, the sport that I love so much and has meant so much to me in my life, and that's taught me so much. And a platform like this is something that I would have loved and I would have benefited from so much as a kid, because I don't move properly, and I've lost flexibility that I could have gained if I did corrective exercises at a young age, and I could have been so much better. And who knows where I could be right now. But doing the things that are important and using the building blocks to build the things that are important first, to give these players a great foundation to build on, just inspires me. And I think it's just such a brilliant idea, and it's going to help so many people.
That's great. Yeah. And I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it with the athletes I work with. So, kids turning around their shoulder mobility and being more athletic. It is truly a great thing for those that are dedicated to getting better at the sport, or just healthier in general.
And to be fair, as a current player myself, since I've known Lance and I've been doing the corrective exercises myself for the last 2 seasons, this year I had the best year that I've had in 10 years. As a 34-year-old, I had the best year that I've had since I made my major league debut in 2011. So I can see firsthand that my receiving metrics for catching were the best that they've been, and my offensive metrics were the best that they've been. Blocking, excellent. Everything, all my numbers have jumped, and these are measurable metrics where I've gotten better as a 34-year-old man. Imagine what we could do with these youth players that are still in the development phase of their bodies and of their lives.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff, man. I will tell you, when you get called up to the Indians and you played at Fenway, I was so excited because I'm friends with Lenny DiNardo, who was calling that game in the booth up there for Nesson. So I'm texting with him. I'm like, hey, Ryan's on the field today. And Lance was in the stands. So it was great. And then I was like, Lance, where's my ticket?
I remember
a nice Aries Scouts party there.
somebody tweeted at me after that game that I would have been really excited about Ryan Lavarnway hitting a double at Fenway 10 years ago. That wasn't on my bingo card for 2021. And I thought it was the best.
I got to be honest, man. I was excited to see you hit the double.
Me too.
All right. That's all I got for you tonight, Ryan. Thank you so much for joining us. Lance, I think, might have some questions for you.
Yep. It was funny, too, when you were up at the plate, Brian texted me and said, we got a director of pitching announcing our director of catching right now up at the plate. It was pretty cool to have that happen. And it's funny when you talk about your call up, because you always think that that's going to be a similar story for everybody. Oh yeah, you got called up, so it's going to be the same thing. The phone ring, but it's always, every single one of those stories is so unique. That call up, you think it's going to be, the manager just called me in and told me I was going, but it never is. It's always, every single person has a different story for that, and I've heard 100 of them. It's crazy.
Well, and it's the emotions and the thought, the introspection of my life's dream is coming true, and everyone experiences that a little bit differently.
It's got to be surreal. It's got to be to the point where you almost don't even feel like that's really even happening at that time.
The volume of tears I cried while watching For Love of the Game on that plane, I can't even tell you.
So I want to start that. We have about seven or eight questions here. I want to say, when Area Scouts, when we started reaching out to find additional directors, that's how I found Ryan. That's how Brian opened this up. Was, my first thing I always looked for was who cared about kids, who was trying to help kids. Because if you don't have that, and I've learned that even talking to other potential directors over the years, there are people that just genuinely don't care so much about helping kids. They just, they're doing it for whatever other reason. But so that was kind of my goal, is okay, let me build on who cares about the kids, first, and make sure that that's everyone's priority. And for you to be doing those instructions for those kids during that time when they weren't able to hang out with their friends and they weren't going to school, and you heard about kids getting depressed, and to be able to be on there and actually be working on their game because they're getting to listen to a professional catcher, watch a professional catcher tell them how to improve, was just, that was my, I was like, I gotta get Ryan. There's no one else out there that can match what's happening right now that I'm witnessing online. So, and I have to say that I got the same sense that the kids get when they watch your correctional videos, that, oh, this is a major league catcher that's telling me what I need to do. I got a similar thing when you validated what we were doing, and it's one thing to hear it from a high school coach and a college coach, and even Mike Medici was with us. He's a professional scout, and he said positive things, but to start hearing it from people like you and Fred McGriff, and it takes it to a whole nother level. I remember I was already working, like crazy to get everything, the way I wanted it. And that literally, I told you this before, that that motivation literally propelled me to twice the motivation that I had to keep going and keep putting into this. It's been a long road, and definitely helped to keep it going for sure. So I'll always appreciate that. So first question from Kaylin from Baltimore. Huge Sox fan. I know you played in a handful of cities. Where do you rank Boston as out of all of the cities that you played?
Well, when we are winning, it's the best place to play, for sure. And when we're losing, oof, don't lose. How about that?
My son is a lefty catcher. Everyone is almost forcing him at this point to leave the position now that he is turning 12. What are your thoughts on this? He absolutely loves catching more than anything in life.
I never like to tell anybody that their dream, I'm not a dream crusher. I'm hosting a baseball catching camp myself next week, and the owner of the facility I'm coaching this camp at said it really well to me last year, because we had a lefty catcher join the camp. He said, you can do it as much as you want and I will encourage you, but there hasn't been a catcher in the major league since 1981. And if that is your goal, and if you don't think you're the best player since 1981, and you're going to eventually go to another position, then it might be better to start sooner. And I think that was a way that it was phrased, that I heard someone else say it, that kind of clicked with me. But at the same time, I don't see any reason that you can't continue and play on the high school team and enjoy it and play for the love of the game. That's, the movie that I watch and cry, but I really live that, that I do play for the love of the game. So it's kind of a mixed bag where, like, it hasn't been something that's been done, but I don't see any reason that it couldn't be done.
That was a great answer. Congrats on your career so far, Ryan. Just curious if you have plans to coach in pro baseball once you retire.
That's a good question. It's something that I've definitely considered. It's Terry Francona pulled me in this spring training and told me he thinks I would be a great manager or a great GM, and I think he has a pretty good he holds a lot of weight when he says something, so that's pretty cool to me. But I think I can still play, and I still enjoy playing. My body is still very able, and I did an Ironman last weekend, so I'm in great shape, and I wanna keep playing for now. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Graduating from Yale will help that a little bit too. Just I just tuned in. Were you a multi-sport player? Do you think that really helps athletes to have a better chance to play at the college level or beyond?
I played rec league basketball for 2 seasons. I made like the B all-star team. I was like the grinder that would get all the rebounds and then dish it for someone else to score. I played a similar role as I do in catching, where like I help the pitcher shine, and if you don't notice me, then it was a great day. But I do think it's important for youth players to play multiple sports. I think the cross sport, the crossover athleticism and agility really will help in every angle, every aspect of their game. As far as playing multiple sports on the varsity level in high school, it's happening less and less. But again, I don't see any reason why you couldn't. My dad lettered in 3 sports in high school. And if I was good enough to have played multiple sports, and that being said, I don't think I would have, but if they love the game, remember, 0.0001% end up playing pro, and only half of 1% of those guys make it to the major leagues. So play for the love of the game, play for your teammates, play because sports teaches you about life and teaches you about yourself and teaches you lessons all over the place. Don't worry always just about 10 years in the future. Enjoy the moment and do what you love to do.
You said you had to kind of learn catching on the fly. Was there one particular person instrumental in helping you do that?
Great question. I wouldn't give all the credit to just one person. I'd say the whole Red Sox catching department at the time when I was as a professional. Kevin Bowles was a minor league manager of mine at 3 different levels. Chad Epperson was the catching coordinator. Gary Tuck was the major league catching coach. I'd say those 3, along with fellow players, Jason Varitek, AJ Brzezinski. I learned a lot from Matt Wieters. I learned a lot from future catching coaches that I had. I'm still learning. I learn every day. It's been a lot of people. I've learned from a lot of really, really smart people. But again, it didn't start until I was in pro ball.
Was there one person that was a mentor to you once you first came up?
I can't name one person that really took me under their wing. There's a lot of people I had a lot of respect for and that I emulated. But I mean, I really loved playing for Terry Francona. I really loved playing for Buck Showalter. Yeah, I don't have a great answer for that one.
Is there any tricks you could share to helping a high school player be a better game caller, even though the coach doesn't allow them to do that currently?
Oh man, this is something I hear more and more, that high school coaches are calling the game. And I understand it from the coach's perspective, is because they think that they know better, and they probably do. But there's also something to be said from the perspective of the catcher, seeing what pitches are working. You're locked in on the pitcher's emotions and body language and what's working and what's not. I think the catcher has such a better perspective to be able to call the game. So if there's any high school coaches on here, I would beg you to please teach these players how to call a game and teach them what you know, because being able to read a swing, being able to understand what pitches are working that day, what's going to be a ground ball pitch, what's a swing and miss pitch, what's a possible pop fly pitch, what pitches are you going to throw for a strike, in what count. If you can start analyzing all those things on the fly in your head, you're going to be so much better off going forward. For the catchers that the coach is calling pitches, I would say ask questions. At the end of the inning, you can do it in a respectful way. Hey, I was thinking this for that 1-2 pitch. Why did you want to go with this other pitch? Or can you help explain to me, help me understand the sequence that we just did for that hitter or for this hitter? I think asking questions is the best way to learn.
Excellent. So that was the last one. So thank you, Ryan. I appreciate you being on tonight. It's been a while since we wanted to get you on here for sure, but it's difficult when you're playing 162 games. So
Right.
glad you got the chance to come on, and hopefully the strike will or the lockout will end
It's the
soon.
owner's fault, not the players.
Hopefully that'll end soon. You'll be back out there, and I come see you again at Fenway.
All right. Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks,
you. Have
Ryan.
a great night.
Great time. Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye. I knew that was going to be a good one.
Yeah. That was a great interview.
Yeah, so Brian, do you want to run through real quick, just give everyone the information on how to sign up for Aries Scouts? We're going to close this out. We're not going to do a Q&A tonight. We don't have Dr. Inzillo, so we're not going to do the Q&A for the movement assessment anyways, or the sports medicine side. You can look up our other YouTube videos and see a million other great questions that we've gotten for those, so you can go watch some of those, and Anthony will be back next week. Brian, if you can give them just the information on how to sign up and where to go and what they need to do, and that would be great.
Why don't you let me share real quick, and I'll run through it in a couple seconds here.
You are good.
All right. So there's two ways you can go and sign up here. You can go to app.ariescouts.com. You can also go right to our website as well. And that is areascouts.com, and click on Get Evaluated. You're going to be able to get a free profile on there. That free profile comes with a lot of great stuff. You can take a nutrition assessment from Brandon Geyer, former Cleveland Indian. He also has a mindset assessment, athletic mindset assessment. It's very good. Take that. We also have Nathan Bell, who is the neural skills coach of a lot of pros, and he has a neural skills assessment on there. So go on. If you want to do an assessment from there, you can absolutely request to be evaluated, and we'll get a base assessment for you. The one that Ryan said has helped him so much in his athleticism and mobility and flexibility. Start doing that as a youth athlete, and the sky's the limit for your athleticism. Really getting a handle on what you need to work on. It's athlete specific, so we're going to give you a bunch of development material that's going to help you with your shoulder mobility, with your broad jumps that you do, your agility drills, everything. It's going to make you a better athlete. So yeah, you can go on and just click on Get Evaluated. It's going to have you sign up for a profile. And like I said, you can take those assessments. You'll be assigned an evaluator. They'll reach out to you, ask you if you're interested in anything and how they can help you. These are our coaches and baseball people that have gone through our certification process, that are very well versed on development of youth players and can help you get your base assessment, get an on-field assessment. We have multiple sports. We have baseball, softball, we have football, we have rugby coming out, we have volleyball coming out, and lacrosse as well coming out soon. So please, if you're involved with any of those sports, go on, make a free profile, check us out. You get great material. Check out our YouTube channel as well, and you can follow us on Twitter. Just look up Area Scouts on Twitter or Facebook. You're going to find us. And we also put in there Pro Spotlight instructions. So the things that Ryan does, we put up videos helping catchers. We put up videos for softball, for volleyball, for football. So you're going to get some of that material there as well for free. But join up. Make sure you're part of this. Make sure you're part of getting yourself developed right from pro material. And really having that one-on-one with the evaluator to assist you.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Great interview. And have a good night. Have a great holiday.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Lance.
All right.
Have a great night.
Thanks.